If it works, then it works. Yes, working out for attraction is shallow. It is something that is perceived to be shallow, something that's perceived to be, I don't know, materialistic, or maybe even some people would consider it boneheaded, stupid. You know, there's a lot of euphemisms for guys who work out, like muscle heads and gym rats. And all of these names are kind of correlated with low intelligence. But I would say that it does take some type of intelligence to be aware of what works, obviously. Because if you're just going to sit here and complain and talk about how being in shape is shallow and stupid and boneheaded and muscle-headed, but at the same time, you want that. See, guys that say that, it's not that they don't want the same type of attraction that in shape guys have. It's just that they want to talk shit about it. They want to call these guys all type of names, and instead of being intelligent enough, like they claim, to realize, like, hey, being in shape is a huge factor to being attractive. Now, does face and all of that come in? Yes. I'm never gonna say that it doesn't. I'm never gonna say that height does not play a role in it too. With that being said, those are all subjective to each woman. And I will say this too. There's been cases where men that were well under 6 foot that got play. And here's the craziest part about it. Who did they get play from? From the same girls that saying up and down that they only want guys that are 6 foot and over. From the same chicks that are profusely, or, you know, very adamantly saying that they want a guy that's 6 feet and over. Those girls are messing with a guy that's not 6 foot and over, because, hey, that's how attraction works. If she's attracted to someone, she's attracted. But as I said, I'm not gonna completely discount height and face. Let's be real, guys. You know, let's keep it all the way 100, like we always do on this channel. But being in shape is going to put you up there in those ranks. And instead of these guys, the very quote-unquote intellectual types, and the reason I said quote-unquote is because they think they're intellectual, of these guys who are constantly in their head, constantly being verbal, constantly being verbose, and sitting there and having discussions about attraction and all that, instead of just actually getting in shape, instead of just actually doing it, they want to sit there and contemplate on it and talk shit about guys who are in shape and say that it doesn't work. And the thing about it is, physicality is a part of this world. And I don't know what world you live in, but physicality is a huge part. And it's especially huge when we're talking about women's attraction to men, right? Yes, it is a huge part. It is a huge part. We live in a physical world. No matter what way you want to slice it, no matter what way you want to say that it's just an illusion and all that shit, from what we can perceive, it is physical. And that's just the way that it works. No matter if it's an illusion that works. And part of being a man, like I said, is being strong. I just watched the movie Fight Club not too long ago. Yes, I know I'm a decade or two late. When did that movie come out? I think it came out in '99. So shit, two decades late. But it perfectly illustrated the problem of men, right? It perfectly illustrated the problems that we face as men. And that problem is guys are just sitting around too much. They're just too preoccupied with being ultra successful, and I'm not saying that's something that you shouldn't focus on. That's extremely important for your well-being. But they focus on all of these things that aren't in touch with masculinity, i.e. one of them being physical. And a big part of that movie was the physicality part. Tyler Durden, if you guys saw that movie, was the masculine archetype, and that was Brad Pitt's most in shape moment, right? I mean, his physique is still used to this day to illustrate a solid masculine physique. If you guys never watched that movie, please go watch it. Fight Club, starring Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. If you guys have seen it, drop a comment in the comment section and tell me what your favorite part, or tell me what you guys thought about that movie. But that's just another illustration of how important physicality is. That's one of the first things that women see about a man, is he's strong looking. And I don't know what it is. Whoever designed this world, whoever created us, Allah, God, whatever deity that you want to vibe with, whatever deity that you want to get behind or agree with, that's just the way he made things. And being in shape, having physical, solid muscle to you, you don't have to be 5% body fat and all of these arbitrary ass numbers. If you are 5% body fat, more power to you. This is not a knock on you. Being 5% is a great achievement, and that's badass. But 5% is something that's not sustainable for too long. That is like some show ready type of shit, stage ready type of shit there. 10% is fine. 8%, 9%, 8%. Okay? A little bit of weight is completely fine, just as long as you have that visible solidness to you. That solid, it looks more solid than fat. Okay? Because some guys, how they're naturally built, they have a little more stock. They're a little more stocky. And I always use the dog analogy. I always use dogs. You got the Great Dane type. The Great Dane is the long, lanky, and lean. And then you got Pit Bull, which is the sort of stockier, more broader type. Think Mike Tyson. Think Mike Tyson when I say this. Mike Tyson wasn't ripped, but he was solid. He had that mass on him. So as long as you guys have that, that's fine. And instead of knocking it and saying that it's shallow and saying women are shallow and all that shit, yes, they are. Okay? Yes. Am I saying that they're not? I'm not saying that at all. Yes, they have a very shallow aspect to them. And hell, so the fuck do men. Okay? Men are shallow as hell. If we see a chick that has a thin waist and a curve and curves to her, we go crazy, right? We're like, damn, she's fine as hell. So it's no different with women. When they see a nice physique, it's no different. Yes, it's very simple. It is extremely simple. And some things in life, you just can't complicate. Some things in life, you just have to take it for what it is and use it to your advantage. That's the whole point of this video, is to use that crap to your advantage. Now, is everyone going to be a freaking titan? Is everyone going to be a Olympic competitor? No, hell no. But are you going to have a fighting chance at least? Yes. Because let's say you're short. Okay? Let's say you're a shorter guy. So you're telling me that you're like, F it. I'm just going to, because I'm short, I'm just going to give up. So you're going to be short and out of shape. You think that makes sense? As opposed to being shorter and having a little bit of build on you, you stand a fighting chance. You stand a chance. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be pounding different snatches every single week. Get that out of your head. That's another very fatal mistake that a lot of guys do. They want to be this super playboy that's spinning plates and rotations and all that bullshit that these red pillars tell you. Let me tell you something. Not every man is built for that. Not every man can do that. Not a lot of men do that. Only a few percentage, only a very small percentage of men can pull that rotation and all that bullshit off. So get away from that. I feel like that's another thing that a lot of guys harp on, especially these incel types. Oh, Stacy wants to be with the fuck Stacy. Okay. On a side note, I know I'm going off the rails here a little bit. Who cares, bro? Who cares? As long as you get yours, as long as you give yourself a fighting chance. Because if your face ain't all that and you're out of shape, you're out of there. You're screwed. At least be in shape. And another thing about the face is when you're in shape, it's gonna shape your face to be more attractive too. It's gonna get that excess fat. A lot of guys don't have jaws. A lot of guys don't have chins, or at least it's not as defined enough. The reason being is that they're out of shape. Either they're too skinny or they're too fat. They have excess weight on their face. And you start getting in shape, it's gonna start sculpting the way you look face-wise as well. Because when I was chunky, when I was more overweight, my face was swollen. So yes, it is shallow, it's very superficial, but the point of all of this is it works, and that's just the way the world is. Peace.